January 2026 has just seen the kind of television event that publicists usually have nightmares about. If you've been following the ongoing war between the British media and the residents of Montecito, you know things have been tense for years. But what happened this week on Piers Morgan Uncensored felt different. It wasn't just a rant, it was a clinical dismantling of a multi-million-dollar image. Piers Morgan, the man who famously sacrificed his career at Good Morning Britain because he refused to believe a single word that came out of Meghan Markle's mouth, returned to the airwaves with a look of pure, satisfied vindication. This time, he didn't just have words, he had receipts. He was reacting to the official premiere of Meghan's new Netflix lifestyle series, With Love Meghan, and his reaction has effectively set the internet on fire. The timing couldn't be worse for the Duchess. She's currently in the middle of a massive global rebrand, trying to pivot from royal outcast to the world's most relatable lifestyle guru. She wants to be your best friend, your cooking mentor, and your guide to a curated life. But Piers jumped on it like a hawk. He didn't just criticize the show, he questioned its very existence. He labeled it the ultimate vanity project, a series where the food is secondary to the self-worship. And while Meghan's supporters say Piers is simply obsessed, his latest takedown has exposed some very uncomfortable truths about how much of Meghan's relatable new life is actually a carefully manufactured performance. Piers kicked things off with what people are calling the 10-minute rule. On his broadcast, he admitted that he felt a professional obligation to watch the show, but he made a shocking revelation: he couldn't actually finish it. He told his audience that after just 3 or 4 minutes, he felt like he was losing brain cells. He eventually powered through 10 minutes, a feat he described as heroic, before tapping out. Think about that for a moment. This is a show produced by Netflix, a company that has spent hundreds of millions of dollars to keep people glued to their screens. If a seasoned media professional can't make it through 10 minutes of your flagship lifestyle project, you have a retention problem that no amount of PR can fix. Piers described it as unwatchable. Not because it was offensive, but because it felt hollow. He argued that it wasn't a show about cooking or gardening. It was a show about Meghan watching herself cook and garden. Every frame, every angle, and every guest seemed designed to reinforce a single message: look how perfect I am. But the real exposed moment came when Piers started digging into the visuals. In the trailer and the early episodes, viewers see Meghan in a stunning, sun-drenched kitchen. It looks like the ultimate California dream, rustic, warm, and lived in. The show is marketed as an intimate look into her at-home life in Montecito. But as Piers pointed out on live TV, there's just one problem: it's not her house. According to reports that Piers highlighted, the series wasn't filmed in the $14 million mansion she shares with Harry. Instead, the production moved to an $8 million farmhouse a few miles away, owned by local philanthropists Tom and Sherry Sapola. This isn't just a minor detail. It's a massive blow to the authenticity brand Meghan is trying to build. Why would a woman who claims to be opening her heart and her home to the world refuse to film in her actual kitchen? Critics say it's the ultimate fake move. It suggests that even her private moments are staged on a set. You can't tell viewers you're sharing your life with love from your home when you're literally borrowing someone else's property to act out the role of a domestic goddess. Piers argued that this reveals the fundamental theatrical nature of everything the Sussexes do. They want the privacy of a fortress, but they want the profit of a reality star. And when those two worlds collide, you end up with a show filmed in a borrowed house that feels as cold and clinical as a furniture catalog. Then the conversation shifted to a viral moment that has even Meghan's most loyal followers scratching their heads. It happened during a scene with her friend, the actress and producer Mindy Kaling. During a casual chat, Mindy made a harmless comment saying that people wouldn't believe that Meghan Markle ate at Jack in the Box. It was a classic, relatable setup, but Meghan didn't let the name slide. She immediately jumped in to correct her friend, saying, "It's so funny too that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now." The awkwardness in that moment was palpable. Here is a woman in a California kitchen trying to be a commoner lifestyle host, but she's correcting her billionaire friends to make sure they use her royal title. Piers went straight for the jugular on this. He pointed out the staggering irony of the situation. Meghan and Harry spent years telling anyone who would listen that they hated the system of the monarchy. They complained about the pressure, the protocols, and the trapped nature of royal life. They moved to America to be free. Yet the second the cameras are on Meghan is demanding that people refer to her as Sussex. Piers, who was actually born and raised in the county of Sussex in England, mocked this on air. He pointed out that Sussex is a place with real people and real history, not a brand name you put on a jar of jam or use to feel superior to your friends in Montecito. He noted that Meghan has likely spent fewer than 6 hours in the actual county of Sussex in her entire life. To demand that title while filming a cooking show in California isn't just confusing. To Piers, it's delusional. To understand why this feud is so explosive in 2026, you have to go back to where it all began a night in London in 2016 that Piers has described in cinematic detail. Before the world knew her as a duchess, she was an actress on a cable show called Suits. She reached out to Piers on Twitter telling him she was a big fan of his work. They messaged for months, and eventually, when she was in London, they agreed to meet for drinks at a local pub. Piers describes it as a great night. They spent 2 hours talking over dirty martinis, and he found her charming, funny, and intelligent. At the end of the night, he put her in a cab. That cab took her to the party where she reportedly met Prince Harry for the first time. And then, the ghosting happened. Piers says he never heard from her again. Not a text, not a call, not a thank you. The moment she secured a connection to the royal family, he was dropped like a bad habit. For Piers, this wasn't just a personal slight, it was a revelation of her character. He spent the last decade arguing that Meghan is a professional social climber who views people as stepping stones. So when he watches her Netflix show in 2026 and sees her correcting her friends about her royal title, he doesn't see a woman finding her voice. He sees the same person who used him back in 2016, now trying to use the entire world's attention to build a business empire. But the 2026 drama isn't just happening in a studio. It's happening on the ground. The Sussexes recently embarked on what many are calling a faux royale tour of Australia. This trip was meant to be a triumph, a return to the scene of their first successful tour back in 2018. But this time, the reception was far more complicated. While visiting a women's shelter in Melbourne, Meghan made headlines for her outfit choice, a $1,200 dress paired with $48,000 worth of jewelry, including a watch that reportedly belonged to the late Princess Diana. Critics were quick to point out the tone-deaf nature of wearing $50,000 in luxury items to feed the homeless. But the real controversy erupted when Meghan spoke to a group of students claiming she has been the most trolled person in the entire world for the last 10 years. She described a relentless assault of cyberbullying. In Melbourne, where tickets to see the couple speak were being sold for as much as $2,200, the victim narrative started to wear thin. Piers and other commentators pointed out the absurdity of charging thousands of dollars for tickets to a talk about cruelty and bullying while living in a fortress and wearing high-fashion labels. The most trolled claim has become a major point of contention. While there's no doubt she has faced vitriol online, the 2026 Australian public seemed less interested in her untold stories and more focused on the fact that she seems to be cashing in on her status while complaining about the spotlight. The business side of the Sussex brand is also under intense scrutiny. We've seen the rebranding of her lifestyle company from American Riviera Orchard to Simply as Ever. This pivot came after a series of trademark rejections and legal hurdles. Meghan has been trying to sell everything from strawberry jam to dog treats and hand-poured candles, but the rollout has been rocky. In June 2025, reports surfaced that her artisanal products were actually being supplied by large-scale manufacturers, including a partnership for her rosé wine that felt more like a celebrity collab than a homegrown business. Piers mocked the As Ever brand on his show, focusing on a photo of a single jar of jam Meghan sent to an ITV weather presenter, the same presenter whose comments led to Piers walking off the set years ago. To Piers, this was a petty move disguised as a business launch. He argued that you can't build a luxury empire on jam and flour sprinkles when your reputation is built on conflict. He pointed out that the products often sell out in minutes, but the quantity being sold is suspiciously low, a classic scarcity tactic to create a buzz that isn't backed up by actual market dominance. He asked a pointed question: is anyone actually eating the jam, or are they just buying a piece of the Sussex drama? This leads us to the most revealing data point of 2026, the popularity death spiral. According to the latest polls in Britain, Harry and Meghan have seen their favorability ratings collapse. They are now consistently ranking below Prince Andrew, a man who has faced some of the most serious accusations in royal history. For a couple that prides themselves on their impact and voice, falling below a royal who was effectively exiled from public life is a catastrophic sign. Piers highlighted this on his show, arguing that the public isn't just angry anymore, they're bored. The fatigue factor has set in. People have seen the documentaries, read the book, and heard the podcasts. There's nothing revealed anymore because everything has been exposed to the point of exhaustion. Piers argues that the American public is also starting to tune out. While they were initially fascinated by the royal drama, the transition into lifestyle content hasn't been smooth. Americans love a comeback kid, but they struggle with victimhood combined with extreme wealth. When you're filming in an $8 million borrowed kitchen and demanding to be called Duchess, you lose the everyman appeal that makes lifestyle icons like Ina Garten or Martha Stewart so successful. Piers noted that in the US, the reaction to the Netflix show wasn't even anger. It was a shrug. People are simply moving on to the next thing. The history of the 2021 walk-off still hangs over every word Piers says. He reminded his audience that he walked away from a dream job because he refused to believe Meghan's claims about her mental health and the accusations surfaced against the royal family regarding racism. At the time, he was condemned. Over 58,000 complaints were filed against him. But years later, after multiple investigations and the couple's own shifting narratives, Piers feels like the man who was right too early. He told his viewers that he has nothing left to lose, which makes him the most dangerous critic Meghan has. He doesn't have a network boss to answer to anymore. He doesn't have to worry about compliance with a corporate board. He has total freedom on Piers Morgan Uncensored to call out every staged photo and every fake tear. One of the most powerful points Piers made was about the staged nature of the Netflix promotional photos. He broke down one specific image of Meghan laughing with a group of friends in a garden. To the casual viewer, it looks like a beautiful, spontaneous moment, but Piers told his audience to look closer. He pointed out the professional lighting rigs that must have been just off camera to get that golden hour glow. He pointed out the perfectly coordinated outfits and the way everyone was positioned for maximum aesthetic impact. These aren't friends, Piers argued. These are props. He suggested that the entire social circle in the show is curated for the camera, much like the borrowed house. He even mentioned that several of the close friends featured in the series hadn't been seen with Meghan in years until the cameras started rolling. This performance of friendship is, in Piers's view, the most shocking part of the show. It's an attempt to manufacture warmth where there is only business. He compared it to a high-end commercial rather than a documentary. It's lifestyle content that lacks any actual life. So where does this leave the Sussex empire as we move through 2026? The $100 million Netflix deal is reportedly entering its final stages, and the pressure is on to produce a mega hit. Tall, but with love. Meghan hasn't been the cultural phenomenon they were hoping for. Instead, it's become a lightning rod for criticism about authenticity and status. Piers Morgan has successfully framed the show not as a gift to the world, but as a desperate attempt to stay relevant. He's highlighted the authenticity gap between the woman who wants to bake bread for you and the woman who insists you use her title. Meghan now faces a lose-lose situation. If she ignores Piers, his narrative continues to dominate the digital space. If she responds, she gives him exactly what he wants: more conflict, more clicks, and more reason to keep talking. Piers has positioned himself as a permanent fixture in her career, a ghost of the past that refuses to stay silent. He's betting that the public will eventually value his uncensored bluntness over her curated joy. As we look at the photos of Meghan in her borrowed kitchen holding her as ever jam, we have to ask, what is the shocking truth here? Is it that Piers Morgan is a bitter man who can't let go of a drink from 2016? Or is it that the Duchess of Sussex brand is a house of cards built on borrowed mansions and staged friendships? The illusion is definitely cracking. When a show is branded unwatchable by one of the world's most famous critics, and the data shows the public is turning away, you have to wonder how much longer the Sussex name can carry the weight of a billion-dollar brand. The final word for now belongs to Piers. He ended his broadcast with a thought-provoking note that has stayed with many viewers. He said that fame is a fickle beast, and that if you build your entire identity on being a victim while living like a queen, eventually the world will stop listening to both stories. He argued that the real reveal of the Netflix show wasn't a recipe or a gardening tip, it was the sound of a brand reaching its expiration date. What's even more shocking than the borrowed mansion or the awkward name correction is the way this 2026 relaunch has backfired in the business world. Industry insiders have begun whispering that the A's Ever brand is facing a massive identity crisis. It's one thing to send 50 jars of jam to your celebrity friends. It's another to build a global supply chain that people actually trust. Piers pointed out that while Meghan is trying to sell a handcrafted lifestyle, the reality looks a lot more like a corporate boardroom trying to find a pulse. There are reports that several high-level executives have walked away from the project in the last 6 months, citing a difficult work environment. When these accusations surfaced, Piers was the first to remind everyone of the bullying allegations from years ago. To him, the pattern hasn't changed, only the products have. But we also have to look at the collateral damage Prince Harry. While Meghan is busy filming in borrowed kitchens, Harry is still locked in a relentless legal battle with the British Home Office over his security. In 2026, the contrast is becoming impossible to ignore. On one side, you have a man fighting in the London courts claiming he's in constant danger, and on the other, you have a woman in California trying to sell you rose wine and gardening tips. Piers argued that this split-screen life is the ultimate proof that the couple is moving in different directions. He suggested that Harry looks more like a supporting actor in the Meghan Markle show rather than a partner in a shared mission. This exposed tension is what Piers believes will eventually be the undoing of the Sussex brand. You can only maintain a united front for so long when one person is looking for a fight and the other is looking for a lifestyle deal. The most revealing part of this entire saga is the silence from the royal family itself. In 2026, King Charles and Prince William have adopted a policy of total invisibility when it comes to the Montecito drama. They aren't responding to the interviews. They aren't acknowledging the jam. They aren't even watching the Netflix show. This silence is actually the most devastating weapon of all. It denies Meghan the one thing she needs to stay relevant: conflict with the crown. Without that friction, she's just another celebrity in a crowded California market. Piers summarized it perfectly. She's finding out the hard way that when the royals stop talking about you, the world stops listening to you. Ultimately, the 2026 takedown isn't just about Piers Morgan's personal grudge. It's about a cultural shift. People are tired of the curated and the staged. They want something that feels human, even if it's messy. By hiding behind borrowed walls and professional stylists, Meghan has accidentally exposed the very thing she was trying to hide: that the real Meghan is still a mystery to everyone, perhaps even to herself. As Piers prepares his next broadcast, the question isn't whether Meghan will respond, but whether anyone will still be watching if she does. The illusion hasn't just cracked. In 2026, it might have finally shattered for good. If you've stuck with us through this entire breakdown, you know that the truth is often found in the details that celebrities try to hide. From the ghosting of 2016 to the unwatchable 10 minutes of 2026, the journey of the Duchess has been one of the most shocking stories of our time. But as the ratings drop and the A's Ever brand struggles to find its footing, we have to ask, is this the final chapter or just another staged cliffhanger? Drop a comment below with your final verdict. Is Piers the villain of this story or the only one telling the truth? Make sure to share this video with anyone who thinks they know the full story. We're just getting started.